how to survive and how to make the most out of being in a situation that you're not happy with. And I want to talk about this today. Actually, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and this came up as something that she knew a lot of people were dealing with. And I've heard the same, where we're in a time of so much change and disruption. And so when we feel secure with where we are, we just feel like we can't really go anywhere. And that's understandable, right? You're doing what you need to do in order to stay financially secure, or in order to just, because maybe there's not a lot of opportunities available to move within your company, or the feeling of concern that other companies aren't going to have positions open, etc. So, I think that a lot of people can relate to being in a situation that they're not happy in and they know they want to get out of, right? At some point in our lives, we've been in that. Whether that's being in your parents' house and you don't want to be in your parents' house, and not having enough to move out yet, or whether you're quarantining with people that maybe aren't your ideal choice, or maybe you're in a job that you don't like, or a number of different things, right? But sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we're just like, how do I survive this and maybe even thrive despite not being happy? And there's a couple scenarios, right? There's you could be in toxic environments that you want to get out of, but for some reason you can't. And there might be just situations where your shine isn't glowing as bright as you want it to. So I want to talk about how can we make the most of those things? How can we come back to ourselves? And how can we find ways to get through? Wise Finger Lab, thanks for joining me. Glad you're here. And feel free, if you have any questions along the way, you can definitely ask them. So I just want to first say, hey Shayna, good to see you here, girl. Sorry I was a little bit late today, and I usually try to do these at 10:30. But we're talking about how to survive and make the most out of being in situations that you're not really super happy with. And first, I just want to say that, dude, I know it really sucks. It really sucks when you're in a situation that isn't for you. And first of all, I just want to say kudos to you. Kudos to you for realizing it and knowing it. That's the first step, is just knowing this doesn't make you happy and you want to get out of it. Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here as well with you guys. So first I just want to say, give yourself some compassion. Give yourself some love and understanding, I'm not happy here and that sucks, and I know I'm going to get out of it, right? It's temporary. And also I think the second thing is, whatever situation you are in, right? Come back to knowing that you're still free. You're still a free person. Your mind is free. Your heart is free. You are free to be you. And isn't that the most important thing? To know that we are all free, even if we're in situations that don't make us happy, or that bring us down, or that lower our vibration. Hi, Ashford Sugar Plums. Thanks for being here. Yes, it is temporary. I mean, that's just like even with COVID, right? The survival strategies for being in a situation that you're not happy with is remembering it's temporary, and remembering to be in the moment, to be in each moment. Because then we're not thinking about, well, what's going to happen when, or what am I going to do if, right? And those kinds of questions can often stress us out and add to our stress when we don't need it. It's the last thing we need. Okay, so I certainly have been in a lot of situations that have not been healthy or good for me. And that ranges from staying in my parents' house too long, to, sorry, mom, dad, it's just the truth. And ranging from being in toxic workplace environments, and being in just workplace environments where I didn't feel like I could be my full self. So I understand what it's like to have to kind of slog through. So here's some tips. First of all, Focus on the parts of your life that are bringing you joy, bar none. So if, for example, it's work that's bringing you down, focus on your personal life and what brings you joy there, and vice versa. If your joy is coming from work and the family thing isn't so great, focus on those things that bring you joy. That's one kind of survival technique to just kind of get through it, right? To give yourselves the best possible chance of staying in a good place. Another thing is ramp up or initiate a passion project. So that could be in any part of your life. So let's just say you're at work, right? And you're miserable there. You're not happy with your boss or whatever the situation is. Well, then initiate a passion project. Find something in that environment, vice versa with home. Find something in that environment that can bring you some joy. Maybe it's doing puzzles at night to right at your house because you can't deal with the family. And so you're giving yourself something that brings you joy in that environment. And at work, passion project, it could be anything from getting involved with a volunteer thing. It could be choosing to do some mentorship because that brings you joy. Maybe you're getting involved in an employee resource group. Anything where you can say like, I can get up and go to work in the morning for this. I remember there was a time, this was years and years ago, I was in a really bad place. Like basically my boss was trying to kick me out of the company. I was like on a performance plan. I know. Can you imagine me on a performance plan? Come on, I'm like a rock star. Anyway, I digress. So I started picking up a project to partner with Dress for Success. And that brought me great joy to be able to leverage like the company that I was at and bring in programming with Dress for Success. Like that's what helped me get through several months of feeling like somebody was trying to push me out. So that's an example of initiate a passion project. Other things is like really understand what your values are, like what's really important to you. So for example, if growth is really important to you, then figure out how you can get that, how you can get some education, some learning, some growth, either formally or informally. Maybe that's really taking advantage of where you are and the training programs or things you can sign up for or mentorship. Maybe that means looking externally and doing like Skillshare or looking at General Assembly and all these other resources to help you feel like even though you feel stuck, you're still growing. And that, and maybe that would bring you some more joy and some more positive vibes to get through. And the other way is, another way to look at growth, let's just say you're in a family environment and you're just like, oh my God, this is so hard. I'm like quarantining with my parents and oh my gosh, and I don't want to be here and I can't wait to get out. The other way you can look at it is what do you want to experiment with in terms of the relationships that you're, that you're in? What do you want to experiment with in terms of how you are being with others? What do you want to experiment with in terms of how you're healing yourself, maybe how you're even reacting to triggers? Those are all ways of finding growth and finding opportunity in where you are. And even in the work environment, looking at those same opportunities for growth. You say, look, I'm not going to be in this place for too long because I know I want to get out. But now I can experiment. Let me figure out how I can maybe find ways to influence my boss in ways that I haven't tried before. And maybe because that's what's driving you crazy is like you don't feel like you're being heard or listened to or people aren't listening to your ideas or what have you. And so what a great time to say, well, you know what, it's safe enough, right? It's a safe enough environment because I know I don't want to stay here and so I can experiment. And that is precisely something that I did when I was working for somebody who was rather toxic. And I said, okay, I have to stick this out until I get something else. I was trying to like move internally. And I said to myself, all right, I'm going to experiment with new ways to be with my boss, new ways to not get sucked into the toxicity. So I practiced things like not reacting and not getting sucked into that like drama triangle stuff that I've talked about before. And that was great. And I learned that I have other tools in my toolbox that I can use for working with people. Okay, so what else? Oh yes, when you are stuck in some situation that doesn't make you happy, people, let go of those things that are dragging down your energy. And that can be in any part of your life, because the point is to try to keep you lifted up during that time so that you can get through it, right? So maybe it's just some friends that have been dragging you down. Maybe it's some family that you need to create some boundaries with. Maybe it's a boss or a colleague that you need to really limit your interaction with. Those are great things to focus on, like saying, okay, what is dragging down my energy, and how do I address this? So that can mean, for example, that's like setting boundaries for yourself. So how do you limit? Maybe you have to talk to your boss. Maybe you schedule a 15-minute meeting instead of 30 minutes to really try to keep it, minimal. That's one tactic. And if a meeting is starting to go over, you can say, okay, I have to prep for another meeting. Like, is there anything else urgent or critical right now? So that you can kind of prevent a downward spiral situation with somebody that drags your energy down. So those are some tactics. And also choosing your battles. Maybe you're somebody that, you really want to win in every situation, or you're really focused on getting things 100%. You really want to do a good job, whatever that is. But when we're not happy and we're choosing every battle, that's not helping us to get happier. We're just draining our own energy more and more by fighting all the battles versus picking the most important ones. So choose your battles so that you can save your energy for the things that matter most. And do things that bring you happiness as much as you possibly can. And I know that this can be really hard, especially when you're feeling like you're in a rut or when you're feeling stuck. But the more that you can find everything to do to make you feel better, it will only help you raise your spirits and lift you up. That could be anything from being out in nature more, going for walks, exercising, having virtual Zoom calls with your friends, salt baths, painting your own toes. You get what I'm saying. They can be little things that can bring you a little bit of joy. Maybe it's picking up flowers and putting them in your office, your home office, whatever your situation is. These things, though they might feel small, they are really important in that turning the energy around or helping you access your joy and your happiness, even when you're in situations that you're not happy with. I do believe that we can manifest how we want to feel. The more that we feel the way we want to feel, the more we help ourselves in feeling that way, the more that we will attract things that will make us feel that way. Try it out and see what that gets you. So the self-care. Here's actually one of the most life-changing things for me in terms of dealing with situations that were really hard and being in situations that I didn't like was meditating. Hands down. And I don't care if you start with 30 seconds in the shower or a minute while you're still in bed, or 10 minutes in the morning or in the evening, whatever you can do, however you can start. And the reason why is because the process of meditating can help you just come home to yourself, and it can help slow you down, which gives you more time to react to things that may trigger you. Because usually when we're in situations we're not happy with, we're getting triggered all the time. So the more that you can slow things down for yourself and make a choice about how you respond versus reacting constantly. I think this is a really important tool that will help you in feeling a little bit more zen in situations that are stressing you the hell out. And I use like Insight Timer. There's a lot of different ones. I like Insight Timer too, because like I'm in the mood for a different kind of meditation, right? And also I'm like experimenting with like what works for me. Sometimes I just want music, so I can do my own thing. Sometimes I want chanting. Sometimes I want super like chilled out voice to like guide me through to help me get to sleep. There's all kinds of different stuff. And I like Insight Timer because you can kind of like search for whatever you're feeling. If you're feeling like, you need some self-compassion, you can like put in there like self-compassion, and you'll find some meditations that come up around self-compassion. So experiment with that. And support, getting support, lots of support for yourself when you are feeling stuck in a rut. Reaching out to friends, family, coworkers, colleagues, groups, group environments, supportive environment, creating your own supportive group, therapy, getting support from coaches. That can be life-changing in terms of giving you support for staying in a good place. And I'm not saying like the goal is to stay in a good place all the time. That's not realistic. But the more support you can have to remind you of your power, to remind you that things are going to get better, to remind you that this is temporary, and to give you even thoughts about what's possible, and even tools and tricks. That's all great, and you deserve it. You deserve to get that support. And there could be no better investment, in my opinion, when you're going through a hard time. Because why make it harder for us? And I think there's all kinds of resources at all kinds of price points. So, if your inner critics are saying to you, well, I don't have the money to get therapy, or I don't have the money for these things, I just really encourage you to do the research and see what is available, because you might be surprised. And you can even ask, right? You can even ask for price breaks or whatever, but don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself to what's possible for getting the support that you need. The other thing about getting through tough times is looking for things that will create new imprints on your brain. So if you're kind of in this like repeating thought pattern, oh my gosh, like this, I'm in this crappy situation. Read some books. Read some books that uplift you, that inspire you, that will create new thoughts in your mind to help you, and new thoughts in your heart to help you to find ways to stay uplifted and to get through. And for me, I think memoirs and documentaries and biographies are a really great way of finding inspiration, because oftentimes these are stories of people that have made it through hell and back, and you may feel like that's where you are. So listen to others who made it through, so that hey, you're totally going to get through this too. And so finding that inspiration to whatever calls to you. I think that this word experimentation is also important for getting through these tough times. So when let's just say at work, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm really sick of this job. I really want to move on. Nothing's available. What do I do? Like, I'm not motivated anymore. Really read the environment and see what may or may not be possible for you to either start a project, or to either maybe even propose a job description that doesn't exist, that the company needs, that you want to do. Anything, or even smaller moves, smaller ideas that you can kind of litmus test to see if you can find any traction for making your life just a little bit easier and a little bit more joyful. Some of it may also mean, how can you do things in a new way that can breathe a new life into the patterns that you're in that aren't making you happy? So maybe you have a standing meeting every week, and it's just, oh my God, it just drains the life out of you. Can you suggest a new format? Can you suggest bringing some creativity in there? I think really it's about taking things in your own hands right now. It's about not relying or blaming others for your misery. It's about saying, what can I do to help myself, to at least try? Because what I have found is that just the act of taking action can make all the difference to make you feel and realize like that you do have some control here, that it's not completely out of your hands. So what are the actions that you want to take that make you feel like, I'm trying, I'm doing some new things in order to make things a little bit better for myself? That's the thing, right? Like, because it's when we say you're in an environment that's not making you happy, you are in control of all of that, really. You are in control of your thoughts and your mind and your openness of your heart. So how can you look at ways to go internal and say, gosh, what's really going on? Why am I so bothered? Why is this really driving me crazy? And the more that you can do that inner exploration, those are going to be like so critical to helping you get out of it, because you'll realize, oh, I'm in control, or oh my gosh, like my boss is driving me crazy, or my mom is driving me crazy, or whatever, because I have these wounds that I haven't healed. And guess what? I can work on that, which means I can make it easier on myself to be in these situations because I'm uncovering what's really going on. And of course, to an extent, right? Like if you're getting berated by people, or, clearly you're not going to be able to control their actions towards you, but you can have more control over your responses, over your coping mechanisms, over your reactions. And that's where the power is. So, yeah, I hope that this was helpful for you guys, because I know these are challenging times, and when we feel stuck, we often are not feeling our best selves. So I just really want to encourage you to tap into your best self, to tap into understanding what it is you need. What do you need the most to get through these challenging times, and seek that out. And if I can ever be of any assistance to you, please know I'm available. My email is breakthrough@toscadimateo.com, and you can also learn more about me at toscadimateo.com. I'm with you. My heart goes out to you, and know that whatever situation it is that you're in, it's temporary, that you will get through it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and remind yourself of that light. Imagine those places. And maybe they will be attracted to you sooner than you think, because we couldn't possibly know what's possible for us. Yeah. So keep your head up and keep taking one step forward at a time. Stay in the moment as much as you can. Thank you, Wise Finger Lab. It was great to have you with me. Thanks for your support and encouragement. And yeah, manifest the future that you want for yourself, and it shall be, and so much more. I'll see you next week on Feisty on Friday. This is Tosca Di Matteo signing off. Have a great weekend. Bye.